Yeah, they knew the Shanshan.
I can't wait to ask for the next one because this is our biggest, our international artist. How much was the Your Maps album cover?
Yeah, Your Maps. So Your Maps, we did have on cover and did some collateral items. We paid 19,000.
19,000,
yeah.
Pono tuanda mchipe mbapa and target audience yes ma Zambians na Lebanese abakumukuba. So I wrote in our pondo, the one, the designer, the superhero. Mr. Emmanuel EMR Mwila.
That's the name. Thank you for having me over. But I'm still too much to up. Oh
wait, no, it's an honor. It's an honor to be with you in this place. I mean, you've definitely impacted personally in a fingi manja fasana na career wise, personal life, and music industry wise. So yeah, it's a privilege you come kwata pano.
In the words of Shefi. Serious.
Serious.
It's really good to know, and it's good to know that whatever thing or two that I may share with someone, at least to want to send up or I can come on and to be.
Maybe to alambia fepari area your design.
Yes.
What exactly do you do in terms of the music industry?
So for music industry, fintu to afuilisha kwa abantu beso. It's just in terms of branding. So we know that the music can speak for itself, but there's the packaging side of it, which also needs to be appealing. We live in a world where there's a lot of music that comes out.
Yeah.
What will make someone who doesn't know you stop to check out your product? It's how you package it. So it needs to have that wow factor. So my role is just bringing in that wow factor.
Okay.
How will someone know that the music is good? First, they have to see something. It's like, oh yes, na cover ya chilanda. Nachishi wachisu. Nachishi wadiluka. Very fish.
So iyo mbona kwa tiniwe feneka because kwa watu hapa Spotify washu mfosho wachirado dereni mbonomba to checking eko fimba futawishi. So kwa watu lemo na makava kwa watu moyo mone kavati iyo vya sibikari
uyumuka
wao mfa music wasanga tiachana line na filafino wachiramo. So chachi ne kwa watu artwork ta drawing umuntu kufana no kumfa futara mfa. Yeah. In terms of approach ngamlepanga album cover te.
Okay.
Muichita approach and what's your process like?
Okay, so just in terms of the process, first we're looking at what's the title of the album, what's the concept of the entire album. So you start from there, and then you're trying to break it down into pieces that are sort of like easily chewable.
Yeah.
So coming from the title, or first the concept, what's the concept about? Some people balapanga album it's just changanya different topics.
Yeah.
But it can still relate to someone because you are trying to reach a diverse audience. But then there are some people who are very conceptual, where I was saying, e project in Depange, from track 1 to track 12, the concept is ABCD.
Yeah.
So that okay, if you send a concept, and then from that concept now we're trying to visualize it into a picture form. Or is it going to be product form where like we have different things, like we have got the cover, we've got the collateral, which is like the other stuff that's going to be used to promote that project. So we have to break it down from that end where I say, okay, what's the concept? What's the type? Like for example, one of my recent projects was Broken Node in Komboya kwa Shefi. You know, when it came to me, when we sat down at Shefi, I said, Broken Node in Komboya is about this guy who's trying to live his life, but then there are so different variations that you can sort of like angles that you can show this guy. He wants to party, but at the same time he's a guy that's sort of like very responsible, like ndafola every month, but in as much as kutina na yamkuchirisha na puisha ndarama ngala no anu inenda mashonse. Better I take care of my family so that my daughter veke sanse katawa difiro kusungo rupwa. So kwa wako ida concept ida, and then you also trying to show that this guy, in as much as it's sort of like that, at the same time this guy is able to also live it up because kaidisha kwendalama. So there's no one that can tell him how to use his money.
Yeah.
So even in terms of like the concept, you are able to see traces of that concept within the project. To say, that this guy is very, very reserved. He's a family man. But then there are those parties anthems that are coming in, and this guy is just trying to just party it up. Yeah, things like that.
So how did you end up na concept ile hapa like ile ya kuikala panse? Where does the yellow come from? Okay. How did you arrive at those decisions?
So the first things first, speaking when we just hear the word broke, it's just relating to money, right? So even when I first started to put together the concept, it's like, okay, I need a money font.
Yeah.
So that's why we got that font. It's just very much
that's
like
smart.
it's called the dollar font. Yeah. So and then twasa number the appearance of the guy. So this guy was like, okay, ndefaya abekwati. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, broke no is also for those people who are trying to keep up with keeping up appearances, where like you are living a life that you cannot afford.
Yeah.
So we're also trying to show that somehow. So we say, okay, imagine this guy. So I was trying to get a juxtapose of very hood and very flash.
Okay.
So that's why the concept sort of like try to marry those two. So very hood and very flash.
Yeah.
So find a car, he's at home, and then he needs to sort of like be at home with. So Shefi had already had the concept like, okay, I would want to have maybe like Padina Mayona Kamwana Filapati, so that it shows like I'm a responsible guy,
family guy.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm also flash. So we had that say, okay, let's find a house that's sort of like looking at least very relatable, like the typical, because the thing is, even in terms of like the stories that he tells is like these are stories that you would find Mukombon. So like let's find like a house Mukombon.
Yeah.
And then we went around a lot, like we couldn't find one.
Yeah.
So in as much as what was coming to mind was like my police camp, we went as far as so first for tuambile kuma chalala area kufwa. We couldn't find anything. We went to Kamwala South. Nothing. And then,
so is it because people were not allowing you shooting a pang and
so I was looking for a specific house. It needed to be blue.
Okay.
Because usually when I'm putting together my concept, I look for references online. So there was one specific reference that we had found of this guy who was really flashy, but then where we were sitting was like sort of like I get to a place like the wall was sort of like very dirty, but it was blue. And then so it was like, I need the blue wall. So the key, like the house that I'm looking for needs to have like
was the blue the influence for the yellow, or was that
so there was contrast there. So because I knew that the guy was going to be wearing gold jewelry. Yeah. So gold is usually attributed to just wealth. Yeah. And then to also contrast between the blue, we needed a yellow.
Okay.
Yeah. So the yellow is also pretty much in that gold spectrum. Yeah. So we are also just trying to contrast those two. Yeah.
Okay.
So now when we are looking for the outfit, we also went around to primary references until we found something that was like very edges, like outfit here to 5K. So and then I had a stylist, Musubila. Yeah. Londo Africa. Shout out to that guy. I knew that I could count on him. Say, Musubila, I'm looking for this. I've given you X number of days. Within a few days, I've sang film. So the only thing that I also appreciated is like the act of collaboration there, because certain things, like even Musubila is actually the one who also found the house. So this house, found it in Baulen. Like somewhere deep in Baulen. So we were actually even wondering how to get there, because the place where it was, we're just thinking like, okay, this is Shefi. He's people's rapper. So if anyone just spots Shefi, we'll have a massive
commotion.
Like everything will just be out there, like we were shooting an album cover. But we were there for over an hour. Good thing is there was like a back route that we had used. parked his car somewhere Chevy. Then we had him just go to the location after we had prepared it.
Yeah.
So we were there for at least a good 1 hour before people started now trickling in. Niba chef 197 now. Before you even know it, like there was a big crowd. Tete mure yafi mpaka mufirifa mwali yako obwali bwakuno tureminairo obwali.
Serious.
Tureminairo obwali tete mure yafi. Like it was really fun.
Very
good thing was like we have to go.
Okay.
It was a really, really great project. Yeah,
so just for context, what does the budget look like for this kind of
So budget and I like people like Shefi, like he knows the value of these things.
Yeah.
So obviously please stylist stylist, at least you need to have at least a 5,000 set aside.
Yeah.
Because he has to look for this. What the stylist does is that the data fat akatika jacket na kashati aka alikuletea vintu vya sana. So ngaku ila outfit apangisha efe onseda. So kusafa asa apima au masize session or toroshin so jacket is so after so from the only thing that he had to bring on set was his shoes, because we knew that he had boots.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there were things like watches, rings, and the chain.
Yeah.
Even the hat. So all those things stylists are. So at least mfumo wakatafika budget na katika 5 sawa waingisham. Things like photography, obviously we worked with Davis Tony on this. Davis Tony, when it comes to projects like that, high value projects, at least Queen Shaman with 10 pin.
Serious.
Because obviously it's not going to be restricted.
Does that capture the number of the shots he gets, or just even one picture? So
for such a project, we were not trying to restrict it to, and because usually photographers, guys, they pay for hours. Yeah. So you've booked him for 2 hours. So namanga yapita 2 hours. After I guys monofanya business so booking at least even if he has to spend 4 hours away from the studio, at least he's not worried that they'll send that.
Okay.
Yeah. So even in terms of the number of shots, it was not limited. As many as we can, and then from there to rush that trim down until we arrive at the stronger cover.
So just to be clear, how many pictures did you get from Tony after everything?
I think there were over 200 pictures.
200 pictures.
Over 200 pictures. And then we had to trim down to maybe 20. Yeah. And then obviously good graphic design, design and layout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a project like that one would cost like at least a 10 pin.
Okay. So on average it's about 50 or so for everything.
Yeah, hanging around 50.
Okay. Okay, let's just play a game. There are so many artworks on this. Yes. I want you to mention how much it cost you to make the particular artwork.
All right.
So the first one is Julian Roberts. I'm sure guys can remember, but we'll put it on the screen.
Yes.
So Julian Roberts, how much was that?
Julian Roberts album cover. That one I did. Julian is my younger brother.
Yeah.
Not like him, like he's my younger brother. We go to the same church. So when he came to me asking about him doing a project, because I've been watching him for some time.
Yeah.
And then it was like, you know what? This is actually quite good.
Yeah.
You should do this project. I'm going to help you do a cover. And I just did it for him for free.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the Mag 44 Pompey Bwana,
I can't remember the time that we did it, but they spent at least 10,000. At least 10,000 because they had to do outfits as well.
Okay. So was that car hired or superimposed?
So that car is actually Davis Tony's car.
Serious?
Yes. So
was it originally part of the concept?
It wasn't part of the concept. It was an improv, and then it proved to be super cool. Okay. Yeah, it was an improv because that's like we were ideally the concept that I had, it needed them to be in front of street lighting. That was the major concept.
Yeah.
So after going around, I saw the lights at Sarova. Yeah, they've got my LED lights, which are sort of like panels.
Yeah.
So those were really, really intriguing for me. So when we went there, on set, then I looked at Davis because we were trying to light up something, and then switched on the car. I was like, wait a minute, let's use the car. Just stand in front of the car, and yeah, it came out.
Interesting. Okay. And then Makitu Olijaba. Ila
Olijaba.
ya maafui.
Umpondo na kwa alipina ngati sawa.
Okay.
But he had to do his own styling.
Yeah.
Initially Mupondo alanjirati. His whole concept was between he had to do a fusion of Shaka and Mansa Musa. Yes.
Okay.
So that fusion of Shaka and Mansa Musa. So we threw around some ideas, but then I think it was taking a bit too long because we couldn't really come to something that was sort of like, okay, this is where we would have narrowed it to. Until eventually I should be like, okay, nimfo afyonse hapa. Nimfo anoa kopa. So by the time I finished now, so what I just had to do is just like, okay, let me get all the pictures.
Yeah.
I'm gonna edit them myself. I'll retouch, and that's what I did. Did the comp, then we did the font and everything else.
Genesis, Natasha Chansa.
Genesis. So for that one, it's more of a value exchange actually. But Natasha is also she's my younger sister, and I really sort of like this when I was working on my project. Impressions.
Yeah.
When I dropped the match, I really needed people to work with. So Natasha was amongst the first few people that I'd spoken to.
Yeah.
To sort of like work with me. Okay, but obviously when you go to someone, they don't know you. Well, you kind of have an idea who they are. So it's like, okay, listen, I gave her a proposition. Okay, the proposal was, okay, help me push my merch.
Yeah.
And when the time comes when you have to do your album cover or your EP, I'll be there to help you. I'll book the studio for you for photography.
Yeah.
I'll do everything else in terms of like the collateral for it. And that's how it came about. And then from then on, like, you know how you sort of like you get to know people, and now it's sort of like big family.
So my own for your guys, value exchange.
I think
very important. Yeah, I think you could have they just think of money. What about in sort of but I think your Malanda, it's an eye opener for a lot of artists because they need to start thinking in terms of what value can I give these people in exchange. And it shouldn't always be instant. Like in your case,
it's not instant.
About months or even years before the other person pays the other person.
It's true. Yeah. You know, for certain things, I don't know, maybe I don't know, maybe it's the way I'm sort of like where I knew for some time, like before I actually even like sort of like came onto the scene where the people could know that I could design. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna work with most of these guys soon, but I don't know when.
Yeah.
And as time went on, I just found myself sort of like interacting with them. Before you even know it, I'm doing stuff for them. But when it comes to value exchange, always look at what you have. What can you offer? What are you bringing to the table? Because it shouldn't always be about money, like Abel said. There's always something that you can offer. At least somewhere. But you know, we are always in need. We are always in need, and there's always something that you can do for me. There's always something that I can do for you.
Yeah.
So we should always look at it from that end where I would be like, okay, today I don't have the money that you're looking for, but tomorrow, okay, I also know ABCD. You always have to look at your strength. Sometimes, you're trying to sort of like push value exchange beforehand, but you don't know what you're going to do for that person. But always try to find an angle that will make the proposal worthwhile for the other person.
I think it's also important to understand umuntu ofwachita nangofu engafwaya, not
Yes.
fewa afe blank
Blank.
shibapo efirifyonse. Like in your case, you know you're a designer, so you know because she's an artist, artwork eventually
Exactly.
becomes our necessary. Yeah.
Because I think it's the same thing that we do when we're going to for those of us that do events. Kula batu wapanga ka propose namkwata tulikwata event so such and such a day mwaya kuli company utolero mbako mtupereko amafu yakwati tupange event ichitike you'll be a sponsor.
Yeah.
Obviously nga mwaya kulya the proposal, the value exchange is what you're trying to show. Papa proposal pada finish mule bachitira bada nga bayingisha mwenda na mesh. Okay, 300 pin. Okay, nga tumpera 100 pin. Mwana finish mwana tuchitira hivi. This is where now you have to sort of like get the strongest things that you can offer. Sometimes tulabako sana generic. This is why I'm saying like you can't always say, oh, nkakwafuisha kuntanchi, shishi bebadi nkakwafuisha kuntanchi. You really have to show it para pen. Na kuma company so forth, wakuma kuli company, oh, depending on 100,000, refocture event.
Yeah.
Okay, finish mwana tuchitira muli 100,000 that wame pay. If we were to give you, and then you are telling them, oh, we put your logo on a poster. Really? Like, we have got our own posters where we can put our logos. It has to be something that will be tangible it should be attractive to me.
Yeah.
And someone like, it's quite Dave. So always try to do your research. One, when you do your research, from your research, you'll be able to know like, okay, apapariko ka weakness. This is ka weakness. This is my strength. This is where my area of strength is.
Yeah.
That's what you present. It will be worth like that.
Okay, and then Bombshell Mfumukazi.
Bombshell, we are now fam. It was value exchange even for her because she really helped me. Like, she's one of the people that I really, really like in terms of like, once she commits to what she has said, she fulfills. So in terms of like, when I was doing my brand, when I launched my brand impressions, she was amongst also the first few people that were pushing for me. So set up photo shoot on time, trying to push, like she's always there, you know, where like you are really actually seeing someone help you push something, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that this person is believing in this thing as much as I am seeing them push, like it's overwhelming to that point, you know. Like she's really good people. So even for her, I was like, when you do a album cover, call me. I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Chandanake one
Zambia. Zambia is a winner. Zambia is a winner. So Chandanake, in terms of like my interactions with these guys, has been most of the times when we're doing some things like Mena Daviston, that's why how we met. Then we've been talking with Gerardo for some time in terms of like, I think it was impressions related.
Yeah.
So that's how we knew each other. So when the time came for the album cover, they just reached out to me and say, wait, Trevor, bang a cover. So so but you know, where you have developed that kind of relationship, because sometimes it's really nice. It'd be nice to people. Develop relationships with them. Sometimes you may find that they do stuff for free. So sometimes it's like, I was thinking, you know, like you're having a conversation. It's like, okay, I'll tell you the price. And then after some time, Davis Tony calls me. Oh, wait, I have a booking a session. Like, we were shooting. I think the time that we were shooting this cover, it was the same period in Sheffield. Okay. Same period in Sheffield. So it's like, now booking a consultation. So I needed to think fast. Like, okay, guys, 25 stars. Okay. Because the concept was already there.
I can't wait to ask for the next one, because this is our biggest, our international artist. How much was the Your Maps album cover?
Yeah, Your Maps. So Your Maps, we did album cover and did some collateral items. I did 19,000.
19,000,
yeah.
Okay.
19,000.
So this was, I don't know, ni on location nangu ni studio shoot or much that.
So yeah, I used studio shooting, but I knew what I needed to do with it. So initially, when I had the concept for commando, I didn't want it to be the usual suspect type of, like, so it's like, oh, it's a no-brainer. Commando, we'll just have a guy painted and wearing army stuff. It's like, no, that's too obvious. So it's like, okay, Commandos, even as the song talks about this guy who fight for his babe. I was like, okay, Chalo Changkond. Mad Max.
Oh, that's where they. Okay. I think I see it now. Everything. I see it now.
Okay. Mad Max. I like that feel. It's very sort of like post-apocalyptic, but then desert feel, but then it's still sort of like a war zone somehow. If I would take this guy out, really place him in that type of environment. So I started looking for references.
So when you're creating a vision in your mind, is there a point where you explain to the artists and they have to approve or decline?
Yes. So I put up a mood board. I always do that. Put up a mood board, get different references, and then from there now I start to explain. So this is what I'm thinking. Instead of us going the obvious way, let's go in this type of direction so that throws people off, but do at the same time. Makes sense. So that's how we arrived to that. And then I know obviously we didn't do merch, but I did suggest like, if we do merch, let's go the obvious route now.
Okay.
Like to army shine types of like commando, blah blah blah. I actually did some stuff, just didn't use it.
Okay.
Yeah, but otherwise that's how it went down.
I know you've been doing all of Esther's album covers. I don't know. Are you still charging? Are you now? I don't even know. Should I say, were you charging before or are you charging now, or did you?
Esther Toishwana, I think I knew her when I used to go to attend the bittersweet poetry shows inside Korea. That's where I met her. So let's say she was like, cover. By then she went by Kamal. No problem, I got you. That's how we knew each other from then on, and then we just used to be found in the same circles. So from the bittersweet, and then when I started being found as Steven, either Brave Only air idea. That's when she was also signed to Brave Only, but later Brave Only from, because when she was doing still Carmine, she was under Bittersweet. I did some stuff for her via Bittersweet, because I think they did a song at church. I can't remember the title. I think it was the typography that I did. And from then on, I fought Waishwanafi. That's just like my little sister.
So did you charge for this one?
So in terms of charging, so from inception, Okun started charger because I was just like, Esther, for what I see, the talent that I see in you, the greatness, I want you to get to a point where like you can afford the stuff that I do, like charge you for graphic design. So for now, that was then. I won't charge you. So until a certain point, I think when it came to this one.
So April was also.
April was also no, I didn't charge for that.
So how much was this one?
10,000.
Okay.
I'm about 10,000.
Okay, so you've Marande feel interesting where okay, in her case, Marero de Ngakula, so that she can afford to pay for the full price. Has there been a situation where you've worked with people, Vakula, or about Piamo food? I
don't know if I can say like Piamo, but sometimes you need to give people room to work with different types of people, maybe because of that feel that they're looking for. But I know I've said this to a couple of people behind closed doors. Like sometimes I feel we do not treasure one another as we should. today is the year 2023. Isa. And then out of like the relationship that we have, it's like, you know what? You're my guy. I'm going to just give me a 2-pin. One pair of 2-pin. 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026. 2026, yeah, Isa. And then you want something and be like, oh, boy, I need 2-pin. I was like, some years ago, 4 years ago, when I tried to do that, and I did it out of the relationship that we have. Right now, you have grown. Not that you have gone down. You have now grown to a point where like you can afford this. So it now should become a thing where like like album cover and 10-pin. So when you're doing your budget for album cover to go and work with EMR, you know that I'm going to do an album cover with EMR, 10-pin. David Stone, I know you won't charge less than 5-pin. Wabi couple. Oh, Musubira. Or whoever is going to do the styling. Be careful, at least a 5-pin. Can I afford the styling? No, I can't afford it. Okay, maybe let me start. But it depends on what you're looking for. Because what I found out is like we are looking for an Avengers look. Avengers look.
Na budget ya
Nollywood.
Yeah.
The old Nollywood, maybe part number budget, but quite many folk shooting a film in one day.
Yeah,
it just doesn't really balance.
Okay. Say Queen, song artwork it.
Queen in EP.
EP.
It's an EP.
Okay.
So, say as my sister, I did charge. I can't remember how much I charged her. I think it should be like 5-pin or something.
Okay. Chef Macharanda Karita.
Chef Macharanda.
Then Abena Destro.
Massive Magic. Yeah. Massive Magic. Actually, it was value exchange. It was value exchange, but I can't remember what Destro did for me. Because I remember just telling him, say, whenever it's go time, I'll be there. I'll pay for a photo shoot. I'll do your styling, pay for your styling, then the cover. I don't remember what it was, but I love that project. I love that project as well in terms of like just the concept and the execution came out because of planning. This is why I always like plan. It's always important to plan because if you do that, the execution becomes different. Let's not be regular. There's so many album covers out there. So how is yours going to stick out or stand out? You have to sort of like be deliberate in what you put in. So so this is my saying. Like ngamune panga cake kwa my ingredients. My ingredients era ngamune wika mwera kwa china kwa naria na mposa mwendalama. Mwashita from flour to baking powder to the other shine mwalika motonse toto hapo sana. You make a good product. Nomanga mambo kulata substitute. We want your flour to allow become yeast. Wala pange fitumbo. So it's things like that.
So how important to my understanding in terms of branding, what is the impact kuri career ya musician nangu artist? How important is it?
The good example of which is I'll use Esther as an example. Remember from when we started out, Nabena Steven Twitter plan. How is she going to look? But like, what's the look for Esther? We had different things that we put together in terms of my mood boards, Shani, until we landed on one. From then on, it was become with the way we packaged the whole as an artist. Yana make that like she would we had by then I think there was partnership with Le Closet, so she would like get gowns from there. That's what she was wearing on stage. That's what she was wearing in a photo shoots. It's just looking like there's money in here.
Philharmonica
serious. From then on, you get that appeal. Like even when you go to to the corporates, they will say, okay, yeah. Not that, they are deliberate in what they are doing. They say that they almost like there's a saying that dress how you want to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the branding and the packaging. So in this new age we're in of streaming platforms, since we're not doing CDs anymore, it's very important to sort of like do several forms of collateral for the project that you have dropped.
Yeah.
So mwapanga artwork area pangeni kona coming soon, now available on these platforms, things like
Cover
that.
image and
The cover image, change the cover image. You need to sort of like show on your page in terms of branding that something has happened. So imagine where like mwapata cover photo kakare, but now I'm dropping something.
Yeah.
It needs to be loud. So people scroll timelines every day.
Yeah.
And they'll only stop until they see something that will sort of like catch their eye. So that is why it's sort of like important nowadays to make sure that be loud about it. Speak to bloggers. Ask them, these are the platforms it's in. How much do you charge for this? Sort of like, let it not be an afterthought. Let it be something that's sort of like progressive and you are sort of like moving with it every time. Now, okay, music.
Yeah.
These things need to be also done. Not perhaps, oh, network. So it needs to be sort of like budgeted for.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate. They become in mind you're saying like 10 pin shanshan. How do I justify it? When I become a 10 pin body artwork fee. Why should I put in that much money in the artwork? Isn't that too much money? Why not just do a car 50 kwacha?
So there's like a saying at dress how you want to be addressed. So whatever you do, still that will apply. So there are decent people that can do artwork for maybe 50 kwacha. But is that what you are really aiming for? How will people perceive you with that? Is it aligning to what you want to be? Yes, you can sort of like start small. Obviously, you get big at some point.
Yeah.
But where you're starting from, budget, studio. Obviously, kwa studio, kucharge na 15 pin for a song, full song. Bakupangira ma beats, bakupangira balisha mu filimba fya shani, bashita arrange, bashita mix na master. Tia kwani fi. But then there's also a studio that will charge you 1.5 or 1 pin for 500. But what matters is what output do you want to get out of it? Okay. So you can start small, it's very, very okay. But as you progress, start thinking about Freto and Sham.
Okay, you're in a Miranda, imagine a scenario where the bigger someone gets, but I expect that because I'm big, you should be able to do this for me for free.
Sometimes, we get to that place as just as people. It's just a people thing. It's a people thing where like the bigger you get, you have more people doing stuff for you for free. Like for them, it's an honor.
Yeah.
But then you get too complacent to the point where you think like everywhere now it's the same. But I think it's sort of like a people thing. But otherwise, it's still a problem because at the end of the day, we don't charge what we charge because we just want to. But obviously, there are so many things that are at play here. There's the experience. How many years have I been doing this? I know the ins and outs of how to sort of like get the best result for a specific output. So it's things like that. You find that what you put out, when you put out music, they say that every day, it's like how many tracks come out every day?
9 but it was.
But it's over like
it's a big number.
a big number, 100,000, for example. Say 100,000 songs drop each and every single day, and yours is one of them. What will make someone out there on Spotify stop to go and play your song? Obviously, they'll have to see something that will draw them to that cover and say, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
Let me check it out. Obviously, even when they check it out, they also need to find quality there. So when you throw out a song, you're not just competing with Esther Chung or Pompey or Your Maps. You're competing with other brands out there. If Beyonce drops a song, you're competing with her. That's how you need to sort of like think of it.
So, in terms of your experience, what advice would you give graphic designers?
As graphic designers, we need to sort of like step away from taking the back seat when it comes to directing a project. When you're working on a project, be hands-on. Learn as much as you can about styling. Learn as much as you can about have to do photography. You don't necessarily need to be a photographer, but learn about it. Different types of lighting, different types of compositing a scene. Learn about also just the very basic stuff of graphic design. How to match fonts, for example. I've made it my aim that I will not use one font forever or 3 times or twice, but I always want to create something new. Let your last project be your stepping stone into your next and try to beat that. And I actually I move on quickly from, like, in terms of projects, I'll create something. I was like, oh, yes, yeah, okay. I was like, I moved on. I want to see something new. And that's sort of like, you have to be your biggest competition. Don't look at what other people are making, but create your own lane. Then try to look at different things, like try to create a sense of like style for your own style. I remember when we started out, I remember at some point I just got so fed up of like putting logos onto artworks. Like, everyone does that. Okay, why don't I just not put logos so that I will know that? But with time, I found out that there's a certain direction that I was heading in terms of like how I do my graphics, such that it became a style. Certain people will be like, oh, I just saw the artwork and I knew it was you. It's like, oh, okay. Like, it's things like that. Yeah.
So how do people work with you?
So, people work with me. You just have to reach out to me.
How do
So, okay. I've got social media platforms like Instagram. On Instagram, I usually use my personal handle, EMR for real. But if you want, you can sort of like reach out to me using the It's Impressions handle. Still sort of like do the same. It's the same thing because I'm still the same guy. So It's Impressions is still sort of like still me.